Hey, it's Jordan with TYT Politics, and I'm here with Nayirrah, your director of Flint Rising. And Flint needs some rising and needs some people to help it rise because what I'm learning is just like capital C corruption, bureaucracy, evil, and all they don't mention that in all the brochures that they're passing it around. I kind of want to start. Tell us, Flint Rising, what's the main things you've been working on? I know you have demands, but have you seen any progress in terms of whether it's getting the pipes fixed or anything like that? Talk to me about what you guys have been doing.
Well, Flint Rising is a coalition of individuals and organizations that formed in February 2016 to respond to the water crisis because we felt that the state was not doing all it could do to respond to the water crisis. And we have three demands. One, we need an immediate refund of all the money that we pay for toxic water since April 2014, and we should not be paying a water bill until the water is safe to drink out of our taps unfiltered. Two, we need wraparound long-term medical and health services and educational services for all who was impacted by the water crisis. And three, we need a replacement of all the infrastructure, public and private, resident and businesses, uh, and have that with Flint hands.
So it's like there's so many layers of this onion in terms of like corrupt and total lack of dereliction of duty. I want to start with it seems to me like the city now is sending all these shutoff notices for people's water, saying you have, I mean, maybe a week to pay your bill, or you're evicted. Can you kind of talk about has this been happening for a while, or this is all started happening now in terms of these shutoff notices?
Well, it's diabolical because we've never once stopped being charged for water, toxic water that we cannot use, toxic water that has corroded the pipes in people's homes and has made people sick. And the fact that now you're threatening to kick people out of their homes because um, they may not be up to date on the water bills, and we're still paying one of the highest rates in the nation for water that we cannot use. It's just disgusting, and it's a human rights violation.
Who's charging Rick Snyder with late fees for lack of pipes, lack of the medical bills that all
Yeah,
these people have had due to this?
yeah, and we don't know what the true long-term cost of the water crisis. So last month, the Senate passed $170 million to go towards money. Most of it is for Flint, but the state would still make the determinations and create all of the caveats on how that money is going to be administered. And the state was responsible for the cover up and poisoning us. So it's just like you're raped and you go to the police station to file a complaint, and your rapist is there taking the complaint, and then your other rapist is there it is in the prosecutor's office prosecuting your case.
My analogy was going to be the bank robber, coming up with the city's plan, but yours is better. Now, in terms of the city, they're sending out the water bills, this and that, but where is the relief money coming? I mean, it was passed last month. You would think that's not something that's going to be dispersed 10 years from now. But in previous interviews, there seems to be kind of a cognitive dissonance in terms of who gets the money, how it's being dispersed, what it's being dispersed on.
Yeah. Well, in things that matter, not much has changed for the day-to-day lives of people. You're still relying on using your own resources to go and get bottled water from these state managed sites. People are still making value judgments based on how much water they have in their homes to meet their daily needs. And even though there are all these talks with money coming in, it hasn't reached residents en masse. And that's just distasteful because it was because of our plight that we had this international attention, because of activists like myself who are out there marching the streets the even when many of the institutional players were in denial or did not know, did not want to know, was not beating the drums and sounding the alarm that something was happening in Flint. Yet now they are responsible for our recovery, and that is also distasteful. We've been canvassing and going door to door basically every weekend since the end of January of 2016. And after knocking on nearly 25,000 doors, everyone has a horror story associated with this crisis. This state and the federal government has never gone door to door or done any sort of community wide health assessment. Everything that we had, like, we had to fight for it. And every action that we had put forth has been perverted by the state. We had the National Guard come in and was handing out water in uniform, and the community said that they wanted residents to get that, to do that. And then when the state created a program for that, they were out there. They were not making the same amount of money that the National Guard was making, and they were just like out there with no sort of cover, handing out water. That water was just kind of sitting out, basically in vacant, abandoned lots for the most part. There were a few places where there may have been churches, but they were still out in parking lots. During the hot summer, like, we had to really fight and kind of sound the alarm for them to even get like shelter. And like the National Guard at least had the opportunity to pee in an actual toilet. Yeah, when residents were receiving these jobs, they had to pee in a porta potty. And after, I know a lot of this is kind of inside baseball sort of stuff, but um the fact that the state is putting all of their eggs on a strategy that is so fraught with human error. So these water filters, there are all these things that, one, you're not supposed to be using these water filters if we have a compromised municipal water system, which obviously we do. And
Expand on that, because most of these filters, like,
so they're the very cheap point of use filters that go over the faucet. You cannot, right now they're recommending that you change them about once a month. Not quite sure when that month is up. The lights, there are indicator lights on the filters. The indicator lights do not change. Like, hey, it's time, it's up, because you live in a area that has a compromised municipal system.
isn't there a disclaimer that these filters that comes,
Yeah.
like, do not use these filters if you
Yeah.
have contaminated?
Yes, but this is what the state is handing out, probably because it's the cheapest solution. And the other thing is, you cannot use hot water through them. If you use hot water through it one time, like, they're basically done. And then and many people, they were basically like put on people's doorsteps without any other education around it. And if you actually, like, if you're elderly or you're like me and I have like really bad carpal tunnel, so I basically have no hand strength whatsoever, it is very difficult to turn the handle to turn on the filter, or to even replace um the filter replacement. So it's something that, even though, like, we really asked for door-to-door water delivery actually from the beginning, um the fact that it's taken so long for us to get it, and we still haven't really gotten it. And even though we had like all of these, like last week we had the announcement that 2 of the emergency managers were charged, yet the governor's uh the Bill Schuette, who is the attorney general, his office is still out there defending and trying to delay this federal injunction to deliver water door to door. He was out there, even though his press conference, it felt like he was sort of repudiating like the actions of the emergency manager, yet his office was out there defending the law in court.
So for people who don't understand, he's basically battling so that water delivery doesn't happen.
Yeah, so there is a lawsuit with the ACLU and the NRDC, and they were asking because the state was not really doing what it needed to do to respond to this crisis. One of the things that they asked was for door-to-door water delivery, and the judge granted that preliminary injunction. Yet you still don't have people having water delivered to their homes, and one of the things I think is like also distasteful and deceptive as you have they say that there are resources out there, but when people actually try to access those resources are not really available.